Harriet Green is the CEO of Premier Farnell, and she represents a generation of young female CEOs, and she's very global. You know, she's lived and worked in Asia, America, and in Europe, and she's currently the CEO of Premier Farnell, looking to very much make that a global, successful, service-orientated business. And she's sharing her secrets of being a CEO. Yeah, just perhaps there's a number of areas I'd like to cover, Harriet. The first one really would be going back to the global theme. You know, I think you've lived in Asia and also in America as well as Europe.
Yes.
I'm just interested in your perspective. You know, how should a CEO lead in a more global world, and what's the key to running a global business?
Yeah, I think that really understanding the different cultures in each area that you work, and I think an acceptance really early on that the cultures will be different, and then how do you engage and inspire and connect? If I were to give you sort of 3 examples, in Europe, because of the maturity of the environment, people's life-work balance is that much more important. There's a sense of, let's say, expectation or maybe entitlement around certain things, and maybe because of the maturity, less change agility. So comprehending all of that in Europe, which is obviously different from Finland down to, say, Portugal. Then in North America, this sort of passion for business where money, I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but greed are hugely important things. What I learnt about devising and creating incentive programs in North America have held me in very good stead. So understanding that defined element of the culture. And you may say, well, these are stereotypes, but understanding what makes a culture tick, and there'll be variances and nuances, is important. And then, of course, in Asia, where the sheer energy and passion, as you know, I have teenagers, and it's like running a nation of teenagers or a company full of teenagers where they believe they can do anything. Their sense of what is achievable is absolutely boundless. So it's energizing, but a little scary at times. And so respecting all of that and working out what levers you pull and how you support businesses at different stages of their development is important.
So when you contrast then, say, America with Asia, you know, how do you lead to tap into those different sort of energies?
Yeah, I think in North America, it really is about how do you link behaviors to personal benefit or team benefit. So how do you know, if you're going to do big change or develop a business or buy a business, how does it personally enrich an individual? Getting that, you know, you can't go into North America and say, hey, we're going to do these series of acquisitions. You personally won't benefit at all by any of this, but I really need your extra support. You know, people need to understand how their behavior connects to enrichment, either for the team, for the company, or for themselves individually.
Okay, great. And then clearly, Premier Farnell, the web's becoming increasingly a fundamental part of your business, and I know you've taken that quite a long way. Could you just share a bit of, you know, the top line of what you're doing with the web to really make it a core way of doing business and winning in the future?
Yeah, this is really exciting. There are 2 elements to this. There's first of all the transactional web activity as we drive more and more business via the web, and how to make the experience so rich for the customer, how to make the search fast, how you organize data and information flows, and how you use that inside your own company so everyone has this one-touch experience. The second piece is the whole community professionally of the web. How people chat with each other in a professional group, how they learn from each other, how they get questions answered, and then how they, based on that, buy. And so transaction and community. And then the third piece, which is huge, is the whole Generation Yers, the Redders, whatever you want to call them, young people who are entering the workspace, for whom the web is the center of their universe, who communicate with, who think around the web, and how we make that real in our workplaces. And as we think about kind of moving from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, really seeing yourself, not just a company, but a CEO, at the center of information flows, not at the top of something, giving dictates down. That world has changed. And the younger you go to people entering the workspace, the more you'll see that. So I think 3.0 is about information being customized, personalized. The days of people surfing the web and going through all this reams of information are moving. People expecting that the stuff that Steve Tappin wants to see is the stuff that Steve gets, beautifully packaged, beautifully organized, means that the way we look at leadership, the way we look at information flows, the way we look at archies, whether they're hierarchies or other forms, is extremely important.
Could you just share, I know we've had conversations before, but could you talk a bit about, why you became a CEO? What was the sort of drive behind that?
I think I've always believed in the power of individuals, how you can influence and affect things with your attitude and your approach. And I felt that kind of leading would allow me to bring together groups of individuals who could do this. So I think leadership is about being able to change and influence others who are also leaders. Yeah. And it's that those individual set of acts that collectively change things, which are a combination of good strategy, well communicated, well connected, etc. Yeah. I think also being a CEO is about engaging with your workforce, engaging with your customers, your suppliers, your shareholders. And I've always enjoyed, we can debate how good I've been, but we can always say I've enjoyed engaging. And I think engagement is a huge part of a CEO's role. If you think that being a CEO is being at the center of things rather than being at the top, which I do tend to think.
You advocate that, don't you? So on that, when you talk about being a leader and then looking after other leaders, what ways beyond engagement do you help lift the standards and help them succeed?
Yeah, I think very early on having a shared view of what high performance is. What are the attributes of high performance? Which ones of them do we currently have? Which ones do we need to get in? Making high performance in all of its manifestations a parlance, a set of behaviors that everyone has. And if you have those in your team, fantastic. If you need to bring some competencies, skills, and attributes in, then do it. And I think it's about really, each company will decide maybe a different definition of high performance, but we all know what it looks like when we're experiencing it.
Yeah. And how do you, clearly you're running a significant international footprint. How do you keep your energy levels up? There's a lot of issues other CEOs I deal with struggle with that.
Well, I'm a big proponent of yoga, and they say, the sort of Sivananda gurus or whoever, say that whatever is your challenge in yoga is your challenge in life. And my challenge in yoga is my balance. Right. And so I think working very hard at getting some balance. So I really only try and do 4 things. You and I have discussed this before. I think often women do too much. They think they can do everything perfectly, or they try and do everything perfectly. I run the business, and I do that with everything I can throw at it. I try and be a good wife and mother, and I throw everything I can at that. I do my yoga every day, and that helps me with my balance. It helps me with flexibility. It helps me with good old-fashioned karma. I generally think if you can't do something for yourself for an hour a day, and you say, oh, I don't have time, it's my boss, it's my business, it's my kids, you have become a slave. You've become your own victim. So it doesn't matter what it is, in my opinion. It could be learning Urdu, but doing something for yourself. And then ever since a little girl, I've been a real avid reader. I love to read, and so I've got my little collection of books I take with me. But those are the only things I do. And, ballet, dancing, horse riding, all those things I'd like to be great at, I have to park those and say this is enough. So balance is important.
And also, as you say, taking care of yourself so then you can give to others.
Absolutely. 6 CEOs are not much good to anyone. And I think we have to keep that very much in proportion.